What's going on? My name is Jonathan Steele, a loan officer in Southwest Florida, and today we're going to talk about 4 reasons why you should buy a house. Stick around to the end of this video where we answer a bonus question of whether or not you should buy a house. Reason number 1 is that it builds wealth. It does this 2 ways. 1, through your mortgage payment. Within your mortgage payment, you pay principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. The principal portion of that mortgage payment is essentially like going into a savings account called equity. This is the portion of the home that you own. The best part about that is that you aren't tempted to use it because you can't tap into those funds. Now, depending on how much you put down and how long you've owned the home, you could tap into those funds by getting a home equity line of credit, which essentially is borrowing against the portion of the house that you own. The second way that you are going to earn wealth is simply by owning the home. Historically, home prices have increased 5% year over year. Now, that's different in some markets versus others. However, most of the time that property value is going to increase. So the longer you're in the home without doing any improvements, that home value is going to increase. Now, let's say you put in a pool in the backyard, updated the kitchen, or maybe even put in an addition on the home. Those things are going to increase the value even more than just that 5%. So that means when it comes time to sell that house, you're going to be able to make more money on your investment. The second reason you should buy a house is that it is your home. You have the opportunity to turn this house into a home, personalize it however you want to, and that gives you a ton of freedom and a ton of privacy. Renting leaves you strapped if you wanted to paint the walls, if you wanted to put a garden in the backyard, or even if you want to have a pet. But when you own the home, none of those things matter because you get to make the rules. Now, unless you live in an HOA or a condominium complex that doesn't allow you to have pets, that's a different story. But if you're owning a single family home, you get to make those decisions yourself. If you wanted to update the kitchen, you have the freedom to do so. Most often too, those improvements that you make or things that you add are only going to add to the value of the house. So just like we talked about in the last point, it's going to increase the wealth. The other benefit is that you don't have to worry about a landlord making scheduled or maybe even unscheduled appointments to come look at the house to make sure you're following that lease agreement. Reason number 3 that you should buy a house is that it builds your credit. The longer you own that home and make on-time mortgage payments, your credit is going to increase. You borrowed a bunch of money, and creditors are going to be looking at whether or not you can manage that amount of money borrowed properly. So make your payments on time, regularly, don't miss a payment, and you will see an increase in your credit score as it goes up. The other great thing is that you have diversified your credit portfolio. So if you have a credit card, a car loan, maybe you have some department store cards, and now you own a house, you're going to have a wide range of things in your credit portfolio that are going to additionally help those creditors to see that you can borrow money properly. Now, that doesn't mean go out and get a whole bunch of more credit cards, but you are going to see that you're going to be able to get some more favorable terms when you seek to borrow money when it's time to come buy a different car. Maybe you're looking to buy a second home as an investment or as a vacation home. You're going to be offered more favorable terms as you are able to properly manage those monies that you are borrowing. The fourth point is that it builds stability. When you own a home, you're going to be more invested in your community and your neighborhood. If you have kids like I do, you want to make sure that neighborhood is safe. And fellow homeowners around you are going to want the same thing. I don't think there's a single person anywhere in the country, probably even the world, that doesn't want a safe neighborhood for their kids to grow up. That stability means that you're going to be less likely also to move. Stats show that people are less likely to move when they own a home, which means your neighborhood is going to be less likely to change the more homeowners there are. So owning a home is good, not just for you, but for an entire community. Not that renting is terrible, but owning a home really adds to that. And I think that's a huge benefit that you just can't really put a number or a finger on. All right, bonus time. Should you go buy a house? At the end of 2022, there's a lot of uncertainty about the housing market. You've got the highest interest rates in 20 years. You have inflation going nuts all over the country. And you have home prices that are dropping, going up. We don't really know. So what does it mean for all of you home buyers out there? Well, the answer to this question is actually quite simple. If you find a house that you love and a lender has said you can afford it, go buy it. If you're stressed and worried about the interest rate, follow this quick tip. Marry the house, date the rate. It is all over the place in the lending world, but it holds true. We don't know what rates are going to do, but I know that as inflation comes down, rates are also going to start to drop. They cannot stay where they're at now, and rates are changing all of the time. So if you see a rate that gets to be better as you go on after you've already bought the house, you have the opportunity to refinance. The other thing that people are worried about is the prices of houses. All over the country, you're starting to see home prices drop. But depending on the area that you're going to buy in, like here in Southwest Florida, demand is still really high to buy. So you may not see prices drop nearly as much. And just like the stock market, it's really hard to tell when those prices have bottomed out. So don't rely on that price alone. Like we said earlier, historically, home values are going to continue to go up. So while it might be a high price for that house now, it's going to be higher later, especially as you make those improvements that we talked about earlier. So don't be so stressed about the price or the rate of that house. If you love the house, go buy it. The bottom line is you're going to be paying somebody else's mortgage, or you're going to be paying your mortgage. Which one are you going to do? If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below. And if you're interested in buying a house in Southwest Florida, feel free to give me a call. My contact information is down below. You can also text me. I know millennials don't really like to make phone calls. Shoot me a text or an email. That also works. I'll get back with you as soon as I can. Thanks for watching.